Dr. P. Ramalingam sir. Dr. P. Ramalingam sir awarded prestigious PhD degree in pharmaceutical sciences at Andhra University. And sir has a total of 17 years of experience and currently working as Research Director and Coordinator for NBA and NAC accreditations at Raipur Autonomous Anantapur. Sir received funding for 3 research grants respectively from AICTE, DST Sub, Virat, GYTI worth of 65 lakhs. Sir published about 130 papers in SCI, SCIE, Scopus Index journals and presented more than 40 papers in conferences across globe in the area of medicinal chemistry and analytical methods. Sir guided and guiding 7 PhD scholars and 45 PG scholars in pharmaceutical research. And sir authored 2 books and one book chapter in AQVD in Elsewhere Publishing. And sir is an inventor of 1 patent. Sir currently working on synthetic and semi-synthetic drugs for resistant anti-tubercular drugs, antimicrobial resistance, and AQVD and stability studies. Sir received Best Teacher Award by IPA Anantapur Local Branch and GYTE Appreciation Award in 2016. Sir currently working as President IPA Local Branch Anantapur. Sir is the founder and present editor of iCare E-New Bulletin and recognized as AICTE sponsored participant to AICTE UCARE Leadership Development Program 2019, certified CPCSEA nominee by Ministry of Environment, Government of India, doctoral committee member to PhD scholars of JSS AHE and SRM University. With this brief introduction, I invite Dr. Ramalingam sir to take over the session.
Thank you very much. Opportunity to be here to interact some of the faculty members from outside the campus and some of the scholars from the campus. Okay. And first of all, I thank AICTE for the funding to conduct this STTP. In fact, the fund was released by AICTE since 1 year ago, and totally we received 3 STTP. Out of 2 we conducted in the month of February, but 1 we have just postponed it because of this COVID. So whatever the session I'm going to speak, it's majorly of 2 components. The first part I'll be speaking on something about research, and because for many scholars, beginners are here, I'll touch the base of the research, as well as the introduction to the drug discovery. Especially introduction to drug discovery, I'll focus on the CAD, how these computers are used in drug discovery. There is computer-aided drug discovery part. Then later on I'll switch over to some insights on the current natural product research, apart from the routine. So usually in current natural product research, what we are doing is more of ethnopharmacology. Just find a plant, do some literature, take the crude extract, screen on some activity. But it is a very conventional, traditional way of ethnopharmacology research. But now the things keep on moving. There are several advancements is taken place in case of natural product research. So that few things I'll quote here in the session. And before going to this fundamentals of drug discovery, so when it comes for the pharmaceutical science, so drug discovery is the core area of research. It's a very core area of the research. Moreover, that is the need of the hour for the country, not only the country, for the globe. We know that day by day we come across several new infections, viral diseases, where we don't have a drug. I'll discuss with that. In some slide I've shown that how many diseases are existing in the human as of now. So that's what, before going to this research component, there are some quotes. What exactly research? So the research is to see which everybody else has seen. But only thing is that think what nobody else has thought. So the research is not the one thing, but we don't require to introduce something new which is nobody has seen. It may be the common, may be visualized by everyone, but only thing is that our thought process is different. We have to present, we have to investigate in a newer way and present what exactly. And next quote, It is the one. The quote which I like the most. The research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose. That is true. That is true. See here, and this is very, very contradictory to our existing scenario, because if he goes, even we work to PhD in Andhra University, and many things what happen, we are in the closed room. People who are pursuing research, either teacher or scholar or postdoctoral people, it's very closed. It's very closed. Obviously, if you see some scholars, right, if you try to talk to some scholar, they will not, sometimes, even now in India, people will not come forward to discuss. They will not disclose anything. Obviously, there is a reason behind it, maybe the novelty or patent or some kind of the ideas behind that they may disclose. But in fact, the best research you can do is talk to people. You have to talk to the people. Talk to the people means wherever you find people are expertise in your area. And you should be being a scholar, growing scholar, you want to come forward to have better interactions. That is the reason why this institution or university or conference, frequently they conduct conferences. The purpose of conducting conference, it's not only to invite a resource person to put forward you to speak something and go off. It's not the case. It is also a base that where a particular resource person have given time so where the scholar has to interact. You just test one thing, very simple, everyone, you just decide wherever you find an expert or scientist in your area of research, you just talk to them. Just for 5 minutes you sit, talk to them, definitely you gain a lot. You just open your research in front of expert, definitely you get many things from them. That we are not doing it. It is not only literature that we always rely on the literature. What is they take the literature, what is they do something, take a report. Not the case. So if at all, if you want to grow your research, if you want to grow in research in your area, if you want to become expertise, you should talk to the expertise. You should talk to expert. I will tell you one best case studies example, right? In 2000, preferably 2004, yes, 2004, I finished my M.Pharm and I was working as a teacher in a private organization in Bapatla. So I had been to Calcutta for IPC International Pharmaceutical Congress, Calcutta. So there itself, my core, for your information, my core area of research is drug design for cancer and tuberculosis, especially for drug resistance, not for everything. I am working on drug resistance, cancer and as well as tuberculosis. So here, even 2003 itself, I was doing on tuberculosis. By the time we don't have any facility in India because if for bacteria, fungi and all, we can do it in laboratory. It's not a problem. Even very simple laboratory. More commonly, we rely on the SK University, Madam's University. We get the organism from SK University, we screen it, then we'll dispose it whenever we require to do that. But obviously, Mycobacterium 1, where we cannot do in routine microbial laboratory. Because in the microbiology laboratory, especially with drug testing, there are 3 different levels of laboratories, so BSL 1, 2, 3. Biosafety level 1, biosafety level 2, safety level 3. So the biosafety level 3 is required for any mycobacterial testing. It's required because it's airborne. It's easy to contaminate. Because moreover, it's the risk of death for a patient once infected also very high. So until and unless your laboratory is certified by BSL 3 as per ICMR guidelines and GLP, then you cannot handle mycobacterium. So because of that, we don't have any facility throughout India. So we just rely on some dental college, I don't mention the college, dental college, we report it. But during the postal presentation, a professor from Banaras Hindu University, he was appreciated everything, where you did this mycobacterium screening. I said, sir, I don't have any facility and but simply send the sample, they send the report. Then he is told nothing but don't rely on those laboratory. Those institutions, he is the one he told this point, what are the point I'm speaking. Until and unless the lab is BSL 3 standard, you cannot test microbial testing. So then he gave an address and email ID to USA. He asked me to write a mail. I wrote mail. Finally, what happened? There is an agreement. I got an agreement between me and TISF. It's a NIH funded institution. NIH, National Health Funded Institutions. So for 3 years, we got agreement where I can send the compound to USA. They provide the screening and result for tuberculosis free of cost. So this is the thing, nothing but best example, but as long when you talk with the seniors expertise, definitely your research will be affected. If at all, if I had not talked to the particular professor, I would not known this facilities available. So ultimately, even I completed my PhD also with the support of NIH USA only. Because all the compound what I synthesized, what I prepared in India is been shipped to USA. The USA has given a tuberculosis report, which is highly valid, with the certificate. So here, even for your support, and the thing is that the best research is you can do is you talk to the people. If you are a researcher, you please come forward, open your mouth, don't be closed. Similarly, no research without action, no action without research. This is all everyone knows. And this is the quote by the Albert Einstein. If we knew what we are doing, it would not be called research. Okay? Next. This is like the quote like research is what I am doing when I don't know what I am doing. Even you require a research brain to understand what is that. See, that is very important. Here, it is very important for today's research, especially we observe the many PhD students, many scholars, part-time scholars and full-time scholars. What people are doing nothing but many people, they always focus on the result. It is not important that you get the result. It is very important that how the process of getting result, that understanding is very important. It's nothing but it's a mechanistic study of your research. See, reason the first 2 points speaks only you are just a laborer, not a researcher. If you rely on that, just it is important to get a result from the experiment. It is only the laborer, a skilled person. That's all. You are skilled. You are not a researcher. The research is the one. So how you feel that getting result from the experiment is important, the same equal importance should be given to the next nothing but what is the process involved in the research. You have to think of that. So for example, you have plant, right? That's what here one of my scholar, I think Mazin, is doing that. So he has done some stem extract, he has isolated some column component, he has gone for cancer screening. So he has shown the extract is going very good. I mean IC50 value is very low, less than 10 microgram per ml. It's a potent. Now the question is, he has reached up to the level of only what is that, the result. But now he is in position to understand why, how he got that, how this extract show that IC50 value less than 10. So he has to go for explorative research. He has to go for exploratory research. Go for just simplify the fractions, identify some chemical constant, further screen it. Once again for the compound, go for some mechanistic studies like flow cytometry assay or mitochondrial inhibition. So some mechanistic studies we have to go on that. So then only your research will be valid. So in olden days, right, when you come for the natural product, in olden days, simply take a plant, take extract, do some activity, IC50 value, MAC value, they publish in the journal. Now if you go for some standard journal, SCA index journal, especially the Elsevier publishing or Springer publishing, Wiley publishing, anything you go, definitely they want the complete explorative studies. Simple extract they won't publish. They want explorative. You just go for the in-depth study of your extract. What are the components present in the extract? Out of all the components, which components are responsible for the activity? You still, if you go for a higher impact, still they expect a mechanism for the particular compound. So that way the natural product has grown, the research has grown. It is not only mere only extract and activity. So it is for beginners, when I come for the research, always a challenge for the beginners, no doubt. Everyone can become an academician. But people who are interested in research, they can become a researcher. But really it is a tough for the people, faculty working in university and colleges to be a both academician researcher. It is very tough, it's a very challenging task. It is not a deal to be academician in your college, or it is not a, I don't think something, it is not a deal to be a scientist or CSR laboratory. 24/7 they are research. It is very easy to be academician, it is easy to be a researcher, but it is very difficult for we academician to be a both academician as well as researchers. So the many things like, no, as of now what we observe is nothing bad. Many of us, even because with our experience, we see the students, scholars, PG scholar, PhD scholars, and their focus is not on the research and outcome. They are running on the time. They at least bother about the research, what is going on. Yes, 3 years over. I mean, even our generation, if you take our whole faculty members, they are done, even though the PhD is only 3 years, they extended till 5 years until they get a good results. Many of us, almost, I think, our generation, everyone is 5 years. Even though 3 years given university, we did for 5 years, 5.5 years. Because by the time the research is driven on the result and our aim, objective. But now it's totally different. It is driven by the time, stipulation time, 3 years. That's whatever the work you done 3 years, submit, that's it. They are least bothered about the objective, what they design. There are a lot of patients and short-term goal and ambitions. They wanted to finish it PhD immediately, they wanted to go into company or they wanted to get into job. So the many of our present generation research is linked to this. And economy, obviously, it's a very common factor in India. Until unless a scholar is provided a stipend or fellowship, it's very difficult for them to stay. Even we expect to run the research based on your objective, not on the term. But it is one of the very important factor that economy and lack of the person is nothing but lack of awareness, lack of motivations, routine classwork, less facility. They are all the common problem we have come across not only in here, across, especially in the private organizations. Very common this thing. The lack of awareness, lack of motivation, routine classwork, less facility is very common in the private sector. Okay. Yes. So now coming to this, you can look at the slide. And everyone you studied pharmacology in B.Pharm pharmacology 1, 2, 3. How many diseases you come across in pharmacology? Hardly, if you count, around 50, 60? 50, 60, that's all. It is not true. What is there in textbook, what you study, it's a decimal of your existence. The decimal point of your fact. If you do see, there are about 1 lakh human diseases have been identified. So far there are 1 lakh human diseases. See, out of 1 lakh, they called as 7,000 diseases are recognized as rare diseases. They are rare. Okay. So here for 7,000 rare diseases, as of now, we have discovered drug only for 400 diseases, that's all. So as of now, it is a very, very thirsty area. But the thing is that, and we cannot take it light on this part. We cannot take very light on this part because 7,000 rare diseases. Once again, there is a question here. How do you classify this rare disease? On what basis you define it as a rare disease? If you notify any disease, less than 1 in 2000 is called as a rare disease. So for example, I'll tell you, around 10 to 15 or maybe 20 years ago, the cancer also was considered as a rare disease only. We don't see cancer this frequent. Very rare. Cancer-induced death is very rare. In the beginning, cancer was a rare disease. Cancer was a rare disease. But now the time progresses because of your lifestyle, the change in the environment, and all the triggering factor of our own life. All the triggering factor, not only the cancer is very concluded, it is not only because of only one food habit. It has interlinked to all the triggering factor, including our stress, our food habit, our costumes, our lifestyle, our environment, everything interlinked with the cancer. The people who are not having very good hygiene also, they get cancer. So here now, once upon a time, in the inception, the cancer was a rare disease. Now it become the common disease, one of the most challenging now. So now, that's what I was saying, the drug discovery is one of the very first I started that, one of the very, very important core area of your research. One, we have to continue. Still, throughout world, the scientists or the professionals or the graduates who involve the drug discovery is very limited. Very limited. There are a lot of shortage in the drug discovery area of your research. Personals. So that's what here, nothing but, just imagine that at the current rate, you can imagine that what is the rate of drug discovery is going on. So once upon a time, 10 years ago, the success rate of drug discovery was very high, 10 years before. But now, the success rate of drug discovery has come down to less than 10-fold. The reason nothing but why the success rate of drug discovery has come down nothing but, number one is what I told you, nothing but there are lack of active personals, active researchers, number one. Number two is the stringent regulations of the regulatory bodies also. Because day by day this FDA also, FDA or all this body and all, they become more stringent. Just like that, they are not allowing the drug into the market because of the exploration of the toxicity. Earlier there is no guidelines on toxicity. But now there are a lot of guidelines on toxicity efficacy, especially ICH as it come into the picture, safety and efficacy. The drug discovery, genotoxicity. Earlier we call only adverse effect. We know only one word for a drug is adverse effect. In olden days. Now we say so many, like we call it as carcinogenicity, mutagenicity, hepatotoxicity, genotoxicity. There are many toxicity has come into the picture. Earlier olden days what happened, if at all the drug to be tested, they test only on animal. Just due to animal, acute toxicity or chronic. Later on they tested on the organ, how far the drug is having toxic effect on liver or brain or kidney. Now the FDA is not accepting those toxicity data. They want the toxic data of your drug particular molecule, either maybe natural product molecule or maybe a synthetic molecule. They want it on the cell level. How this particular molecule is showing toxicity on cell, whether it is having any teratogenicity or not, carcinogenicity or not, mutagenicity or not. So everything they want it. So obviously what happened, nothing but it is entire world, 99.9% of the chemical have toxic effect on cell. So the remaining rest is we have 0.1%. That is the reason why we have tougher task to identify the drug molecule. Something like, we require a lot of patience. Like that's why the many scientists say that drug discovery is like a fishing. The fishing and drug discovery both are same. The fishing nothing but we require a lot of patience. Just once you put a bait and then you have to wait for a lot of time. So that is the reason, especially the scholars or teachers who are in the drug discovery area, you require a lot of patience. You will have first nothing but you have to habituate yourself to accept the negative result first. To accept the negative results. Especially some BPharm students, they take the extract, they go to animal, they test it. If they don't get the result, they are feeling so sad, they are depressed. That's what I say. So you're taken from the literature, you're taken the plant, you've taken the plant extract, you've gone to the animal, you don't get the result, what you will do? Now here the junction thing, but it is not the meaning of your going into your depression state or disappointment. So how in a research, both positive result and negative results both are equal. There are some journal of negative results. There are some journals available, journal of negative result. Even people accept negative result and they publish it. I'll tell you one thing, the negative result is having very critical role in your research society, rather than making it a fake. Take a plant, test it, if it's not there, you report, you publish, this plant is not having any anti-cancer activity, no tuberculosis activity. You report, you give equal weightage to negative result. No thesis adjudicator, no researcher or no adjudicator will object your result. Instead of that, what happened, many cases, because many of the scholars that tuned such a thing, but when they do research, they want to have positive result. Especially natural product, it is not possible. In case of synthetic chemistry or other chemistry, you can design your molecule such a way get a positive molecule, because we have molecular talking tool or computer-aided drug discovery, so you can bring out some kind of hypothesis. What kind of molecule will have activity? But when it comes for the natural product research, it is not possible to predict whether the particular plant will have activity or not. But in synthetic chemistry, it is possible. So here in natural product research, both results are equal. Positive or negative, both should be given equality. There is no meaning of demanding a positive result, and there is no meaning of giving conclusion that the researchers has choosing the research achieving, but there is no positive result. So if you give 100% mark to positive result, natural product research, the same 100% should be given for negative result also. That is the basic difference between the natural product research as well as your synthetic product research. Synthetic, it is possible because of the technology, we can able to design ourselves. We can screen, we can go for ritual screening, we can design unlock everything. But natural product, it is not possible. Just for your knowledge, as of now, if you are a researcher, what is the, because very important thing, but what is the area you can choose? For example, you are being a natural product, you are interested in natural product. And there are some people and get the plant from Tirupati forest. And where you can evaluate. So here you can see that. And we are categorized in the infectious disease as well as non-infectious. And out of infectious, now you know that the smallpox, even still they are very dangerous. Still, whatever the amount of research, the amount of drug discovery or the treatment remedy which are available, it's not enough. There is a need for research to continue in this area, especially smallpox, plague, tuberculosis, malaria. Yeah, malaria is one of the, now it's also evolving. It is coming the drug-resistant malaria. Drug-resistant malaria. Even in our college there is a project going on, AICT funded project. It is purely for natural product only. Natural product against drug-resistant malaria. He is the one who is doing that. Dr. Mr. Babu, AICT funded. Even the CDR, even for malaria, now all the academic institution, university can come forward on the drug-resistant malaria also. Especially in CDRI, they're providing, if you're having project and funded, just charging 5,000 rupees per sample. You can send the sample, they support it. They do in vitro, in vivo assay, they give it us. Especially they support only for the funded research. So especially the teachers who are working in the university or anything, we don't require to bother about whether the in vivo, in vitro facilities available in our university or not. We can design it. Only thing is that we can execute our extraction, fractionation, isolation, so the molecule can be sent to the CDR laboratory, and they are happy. Just one day, today we have mailed, the second day they replied, you have sent a sample. And moreover, they take part. They involved in all the interpretation, everything. They are supporting very well. So that's what you have the malaria. Even the Central Institute also started supporting that. And next is Ebola, cholera, now is virus, coronavirus. And when it comes for the non-infectious disease and all, we know that still heart diseases, we are not curing, we are managing disease. Most of the disease what we have is diabetic or hypertension or anything, right? Everything we are managing. That's why we call it as clinical management. It is not a curative therapy, it is only managerial therapy. The curative therapy nothing but you take a medicine, after one span of time you stop medicine, you are cured. But diabetic hypertension it's only a chronic management, that's it. That's why here, in case of this cerebrovascular diseases, Alzheimer's, diabetic, everything, we require a milestone research. Already the US FDA or the United States, especially Harvard universities. So they already proposed a vision that they motivated all the researchers to go for milestone research. The meaning of the research nothing but milestone. Why it's called as milestone means it is a dead end. Something you do, either gene therapy, any therapy, you come up with a strategy that your patient should not take continuous medication. So because very simple, a person is diabetic or hypertension, when he is taking daily medicine, he lost his quality of life, gone. Half life gone. He's only half dead body only. If you don't take medicine, that's all. So it is almost like the person who are diabetic. So if you want to improve the quality of life for the particular patient, you require a milestone research. The milestone research thing, but so because the vaccine was released, Covishield, Covaxin. Now the scientists say that everyone will get Delta plus infection. Everything, and the only thing is that the pathogen try to modify that part of the structure which is responsible for toxicity. So that's why called as molecular modification. The terminology what we have mentioned is molecular modification. You try to modify the chemical structure such a way that you modify the structure of the compound which is responsible for toxicity. So once you modify, and automatically the toxicity will come down. That is called as drug design. That is called as a part of drug discovery. The drug design nothing but part of drug discovery. We try to use like modification of the chemical structure to improve the potency or to reduce the toxicity. Sometimes what happens, toxicity will be very high, potency will be down. Even we will try to do the thing, but we will try to improve the potency, we try to reduce the toxicity. For that only, we in our college we have a tool. It is we have the ADMT tool. It's a license version. So that particular tool, what the software I think made software, it shows which part of the structure is responsible for toxicity. It is a prediction tool that is available in the campus. Okay. So now, next, when you come for the drug development, what is this drug development? Drug design nothing but is focused only on the molecule, that's it. We try to modify the molecule and how we try to reduce the toxicity by modifying the chemical structure, how we are improving that. What is this drug development? See, the drug development is a complete process. It's a long-term process which includes everything from the start point to end point. What is the end point? Is come to the human market. So like that whatever the drug discovery always starts with the small laboratory, take a molecule, test it, test on animal. The meaning of product development nothing but like whatever the molecule you have. In the pharmacy, we go to medical shop, we have tablet, capsules, syrups, we have injections. The paracetamol is available as a tablet. It is not available as a capsule. Why? It is the research they found that the paracetamol is more suitable in the form of tablet to give your appropriate bioavailability or patient compliance, whatever will be the so-and-so case. So similarly, we have so many, right? There are some components which are available only topical cream, not as a oral. So here, that is comes in case of product development. Whatever the molecule you have, which have proven the efficacy, and how it is suitable, how. Like whether it is suitable for a tablet, whether it is suitable for injection, whether it is suitable for cream or ointment, that is called as product development. So drug drug discovery, product development, then we go for preclinical research. Here the meaning of preclinical research indicate testing on animals or microorganisms. And now in the campus earlier we test only on rat, mice and rabbit and guinea pig. So our campus is entitled as per the establishment of CPCA, only 4 species we can do in testing. Mice, rat, rabbit and guinea pig, that's it. Only 4. Only small elements only allowed for the academic institutions. We cannot test on either dog or monkey and all, we don't have any permissions, large animals. But now in addition we have gone for zebrafish, we added this year. Maybe from this forthcoming IAS meeting, that will be approved for some studies. Next is going for clinical trial. So the preclinical trial, nothing but it's on the animals. When I come for clinical trials, it's on human. So this is the basic difference between drug discovery and drug development. Remember, the drug discovery, nothing but, remember, it is your wish. It is your wish. It is the lab is yours, you do whatever you want, use your brain and do. There is no guidelines. It's purely your intellectual. Whatever the case, your extraction, isolation, testing, nobody says anything but you test the compound in this assay. You can choose your own assay with your justifications. That's why here nothing but your drug discovery, the zero, we don't have any. You are searching your drug molecule. Drug discovery, searching drug molecule, and it is non-protocol driven. Nobody has given guidelines. Research, whatever things you say, that is final. Whole and soul researcher, you are the boss for this particular drug discovery. There is the data is not regulated by FDA. There is no guidelines is given for drug discovery. But once the drug discovery part is done, you identify the molecule, either through synthetic scheme or from the natural product isolation. Once the molecule you have taken, you have tested an animal, everything. You have some data. This is a plant, these are extractions, this is a molecule I got it, this molecule has so and so efficacy, the bioactivity. Up to that it's called a drug discovery. After that, you are going for your preclinical testing as well as the human studies. That is nothing but next part is the drug development comes to the picture. So now, when you come for the drug development, as I told nothing but you have to, the development, the studies are driven by protocol. Where the GLP entered the picture. GLP, good laboratory practice. All will enter the picture. So you cannot do as you like. Keep the molecule, even though you discovered a molecule in your laboratory, when it is taken to the human clinical trial, you cannot dictate anything. Already there is a guidelines. You have to follow the guidelines what is defined by FDA. Straight away you cannot say, no, my molecule should be directly taken to the phase 3. You cannot say like that. Though you say that, but I tested an animal, the molecule is free from toxicity, definitely it should go through phase 0, 1, 2, 3. Definitely, that's why called as protocol driven. So there the investigator, there are some committee, everything will be there. Though you are a researcher, though you own the patent of the molecule, but when you go for drug development process, when it's taken to the preclinical and clinical research, and it's all protocol driven, and the data, everything is, you cannot say I won't disclose the data. But in drug discovery, when you are laboratory, you will write a notebook, you will put it in your bag, go. You don't require to disclose to anybody else. It's a confidential, as long you bring a molecule. But once you go for your drug development, all the protocol, everything, what are the process, everything is scrutinized by FDA, you are disclosed to the FDA. These are nothing but various stages of development. In generally, idea of a basic research, then you go for basic researching part, you understand what is the need, from where you can discover what is the disease, scenario, everything, right? So next is the new drug discovery, screening, preclinical. After preclinical, the preclinical thing, but animal testing. Once the molecule is tested on animal, then you have to go for your suitable, because animal directly can dissolve your molecule into some solvent you can give. For animal, you can take your of the molecule, directly can dissolve in some solvent directly can give it to the animal. But when you go for the patient clinical trial, we cannot give it as such. You require to formulate in the suitable dosage form. Either the molecule should be developed in the form of capsule, or in the form of a tablet, or in the form of any other things. That has to be done. That's what here you can see that preclinical studies after animal studies, there is a formulation development. We need to convert into a dosage form. Then you take to for IND application, clinical trials, next license. So here, this I think maybe the first session already told, I think, but the complete drug discovery process, you can see that basic research, disease discovery, and drug discovery. Up to that, it is not regulated. There is no guidelines, there is no nothing, there is no approval, nothing required. Nobody will dictate. You are the boss. You are the boss up to that drug discovery. Once your molecule is ready, you are going for animal studies. Then it is regulated. Animal studies means once again you have to write your protocol. You should be approved by IASC committee. Then you follow the CPCA guidelines, test an animal, take the data. Next you go for your clinical trials. So these are nothing but completely regulated. Once after drug discovery, from the clinical development, clinical trials, everything is regulated. And as of now, drug discovery, there are 3 regulations. One is called as the GLP, GCP, and what is the GMP. So the GLP, good laboratory practice, applicable only for animal studies. Good laboratory practice only for animal studies. Once the molecule is done, then goes to when you go for clinical trials, there it is not, it's a combination of both GLP as well as GCP, good clinical practice. So the most predominant is GCP, good clinical practice. Next thing about complete manufacturing is GMP, good manufacturing practice. So these are the 3 different practices or regulations which are defined by FDA and WHO. So that has to be followed during your drug development process. So this I think you are aware of what there is totally 6 different phases of clinical research. I don't know whether a student, that's why here being a student, whenever you study some hospital, you have to update yourself. You have to update. Always rely on the recent edition of the textbook. You should not take 1990s textbook. If you take 1990 textbook, they are given only phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. That's all. Phase 4 only. But as of now, it is that drug discovery area regulations are day by day there are enormous changes. Now we have phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Till that up to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 is pre-marketing. And phase 4 and phase 5 is whatever, post-marketing. So that's why here, what is what, right? Pre-clinically nothing, but see here out of that, pre-clinically is only animal. Remaining all phase 0 to phase 5 is completely it's on human. It's on human. And this once again. So now we come for your old day. First we'll know something about how this drug discovery was done earlier days. Then we'll go for new way. I mean the recent rational way of drug design, how it is done. We can see that traditional drug design, what they do think, but generally the lead generations. In chemistry world, lead and terrazine. It's not really lead here, it is only lead. The lead nothing but out of all molecule, the promising molecule which is having highest biological activity or potent biological activity. It is not drug. The lead is not drug. Because here lead means we speak about only that molecule which is having high biological activity efficacy, that's it. That lead will become drug only when you prove that the molecule is non-toxic. When you are going to prove that lead molecule is having non-toxic, it is non-toxic, it is suitable for human treatment, then that is called as drug. So that lead to drug only, it's called as drug design process. As I told you, lead to drug design. So here visually we try to identify lead molecule. It's from different sources. The lead molecule is from the chemistry department. And I think daily if you take the entire world, every day we can assume that more than 1 lakh chemicals, new molecules synthesized. Entire world, if you take today, definitely 1 lakh new molecules might have been synthesized by different researchers. So those chemicals may have biological activity, may not have biological activity. So those chemical molecules are taken, we take it for the screening. Olden days there is no computer tool. So what generally they do think, but they synthesize around 50 compounds. All the 50 compounds they take it to testing, in vitro testing. like antibacterial assay or antifungal assay or anything. The older days and all, we don't have, because all the institutions may not have animal house, because animal house is regulated. We require a permissions. We require a protocol committee. So the people, they don't go into that level, pharmacological screening and all. Simply they go for in vitro cell assay. In vitro cell assay, it's called a screening. So similarly, natural chemistry. Natural chemistry means not only from the plant, it's also from animal source. It's also from microorganisms, metabolites, and minerals. Here, what are the case? What are the naturally, what you get, marine source. So all the things and all you take it. But here, because most of us, natural means we think only plant. The one of the major, even still, the marine source are the very potent source for drug discovery, especially for cancer. It is proven. It is already proven that if you want to get a good cancer agents, better you, being a natural chemist, go into marine. Marine give a good number of anti-cancer candidate. It is already proven. Rather, I don't know what is the nature relationship, we don't know, but already it is proven that literature that rather the plant sources, the marine research use very potent lead molecule for cancers. But only thing is that we are not near the ocean. Obviously, we are lacking that particular things. Once again, when you go for algae, there are two things here. When you go for natural chemistry of algae, macroalgae, because whatever the plant or anything plant, you have to authenticate. Taxonomist only should do it. But repeatedly, I am telling in the campus here, whatever the plant we choose, we are not authorized to authentify. It should be authentified the taxonomist. Then it is valid. But here, so I can see some people are taking that pharmacognosy people are authentifying. It's not valid. Only the taxonomist or botanist people who are qualified, they are supposed to identify and report that this plant so and so species. Similarly, even if you take your marine also, more commonly if you see algae, more commonly if you literature, people are working on algae. Algae we have macroalgae and microalgae. And here also the authentication big issues here. Macroalgae, it's fine. Usually they can authenticate. But microalgae, once again authentications, they have to go for DNA fingerprint. Then they have to go for PCR. So without a DNA fingerprint, they cannot authentify. So it's very, very important because recently I have come across one thesis that sent from this, for this evaluation. The candidate used microalgae for drug discovery purpose. Authentication is not done properly. Just simply they certified that the given the species was found to be so and so algae. But it was not based on the, so here that's what the protocol deriving, but they go for the screening or what are the case, the many of the mistake what they are doing, but the microalgae should be authenticated only with their DNA fingerprint and PCR report only. Without that we cannot authenticate. Macroalgae like plant, how you authentify, you can authentify. So there are some regulations also available that. So lead generation, what are the cases as I discussed here, plant or macroalgae or what are the case, take compound it. Next we take it to biological testing. That's what I say. In the biological testing there are two things, you know that. There are three biological testing. In vitro, ex vivo, in vivo. In vitro is the first one, everyone has to do it first. In vitro, nothing but in the laboratory setup, we try to simulate it. We try to set up, we create the environment of the in vivo, the biological system. So that is called as in vitro. So for example, your what are the bacterial testing you are doing, antibacterial testing by using Petri plate, it is in vitro. It's in vitro assay. If anything done on the isolated tissues, it is called as ex vivo. If anything done on the isolated tissues, it's gone ex vivo. If it is anything is given inside the biological system, either inside the rat, inside the mice, or inside the human, that become what you call as it become in vivo. There is a student who asked me a question. Sir, you are saying if anything is inside the biological system, it is called as in vivo. So what he asked, sir, in microbiology assay, I am giving the drug, the bacteria is taking the drug, so the drug also going into the bacteria, so bacteria also biological system, no. Why don't you call that is as a in vivo assay? really I don't have any answer for that. Because now we are totally rely on the literature, what earlier people just said. Yeah, simple, logic is correct. You said anything that is tested inside the biological system, living system, it's called as in vivo. Bacteria is in vivo, though you are doing a petri plate there is a bacteria, we are giving drug is crossing the cell membrane, going into the living bacteria only. But what, artificial, but what they say is, it is not the bacteria that is involved in the infection of the disease. That in vivo comes into the picture, you target the bacteria which is already in the infectious system or the bacteria of your infection, the human tissues basically. Because there is the metabolic functions of bacteria is totally different when it is infected. The virulence is totally different. What we do in the case of culture, subculture. But he is doing but based on statement he has given. Into the biological system, it is a biological system only, living only. Okay. So that's what here what are the case, the biological testing, generally they do in vitro, next is go for ex vivo if required, or else directly they go for what is in vivo system. And next is but see, and sometimes based on the biological testing what they do but and so there is a synthesis of new compound. If it is a natural compound also, they try to convert into some esters to improve the kinetic profile, because sometimes lipophilicity of the drug is less, or sometimes lipophilicity of the drug is very high, the solubility issues, or sometimes derivations with the stability. Sometimes some natural products are not stable, for that they convert into salt form. So that kind of things they do doing, but so they sometimes derivation ester, what are the case they do synthesize, and that is kind of a drug design life cycle. As I told you, this drug designs life cycle, but after biological testing, and we try to modify the structure. As I told you, try to modify the structure either to improve the pharmacokinetic property, or to reduce the toxicity, or to improve the potency or stability, or suitable for the formulations. So for many of the objective we try to modify that. Okay. Next, if promising, they go for what is preclinical. If it is promising, and I mean if it is promising in the in vitro, your molecule is stable and very simple, very important compound, nothing but many of the researchers they are ignoring the stability component of the compound. Stability. Whatever the molecule we synthesize or isolate, and it is very important to assure that the compound is stable. There are more than minimum 10%